Okay, so April 10th has some really cool astrology that I am looking forward to, and I can't wait to share with you as well. Not only do we have our first post eclipse season full moon, which we can actually do energetic work with and intentional work and magic with, but it's also the day that the ruler of this full moon, which is going to be in Libra, is actually going to go direct. So I have some good news to share with you, and I always love that. So we're going to get into the chart right now where I can show you around the whole chart, show you exactly what we're looking at, and help this astrology make sense for what we're going to be experiencing that day and how it looks to an astrologer when they go through it. So let's go ahead and jump into the chart. Okay, so what we have here is, of course, the chart for April 12th, which is going to be a Saturday. I've cast it for the location of, if I can make this calendar go away, I have cast it for the location of Washington, D.C., simply because that is the capital of the nation in which I am living right now, and making a generalized kind of prediction. You can cast this chart for your location, and it will show you a little bit more detail. But really, what you want to do when you're interpreting a full moon for your personal use is to look at the sign that the full moon is in. In this case, we're going to see that the moon here, our little crescent, is in Libra. This is the sign you want to focus on, and you want to look at your own astrology chart and see which house, so which section of the chart has the number associated it with Libra. So we want to see which house Libra is in. It can be in either houses 1 through 12. So you figure out which one that is, and the keywords for that house will help you understand what this full moon means for you. Or if you want to jump over to the Modern School of Ancient Wisdom or any of my socials, I have already shared the horoscopes with coaching questions for every rising sign. So all you have to do is go to either the Modern School of Ancient Wisdom on Patreon, where you can find me at Crystalline Sophia, or at Crystalline Sophia on any social site, and then you will get a coaching question that is for your rising sign. So all you have to do is look at your rising sign, read the question, see how you want to make that work for you. Anyway, we can get into what this moon means in general, which is going to give you some ideas for what you might want to do with it, regardless of where it is in your own chart. Especially if Libra is your perfected sign, that's a timing technique in astrology, or if Venus is an important planet in your chart, especially if she is a time lord, so the ruler of a timing technique such as perfections. If you don't know what timing techniques are, that's okay. It's like astrology 301, so you don't have to. But if you happen to know these things, then you have an extra hint as to if this full moon is more prominent for you or not. It still happens, so we can still work with it, especially if we're doing folk magic or anything like that. And so what we can look at here is, of course, we have our full moon in the sign of Libra, which means it is directly opposite the sun, who is still exalted in Aries. And at the time of the full moon perfecting, so at the time that the moon is at 2319, exactly opposite the sun at 2319, Venus is still retrograde for like a few hours before she actually goes direct. And so what we can see here, if we want to double check when she goes direct, here in Luna, we can actually go in and look at direction changes. It'll be 9:02 p.m. by the time that Venus goes direct. This is happening just about half an hour before she goes direct. So she is pretty much sitting still at this point, which does bring a certain energy to the full moon. The good news is, for the majority of the full moon, which takes place after the perfection of the sun and the moon in opposition, and for like a day and a half after that, we will have the energy of that full moon with a mostly direct moving Venus. She is still pretty stationary. She's going to be kind of hanging out in that one spot, but she's no longer in that backward momentum. She is getting ready to move forward. And if we think about this, right, she has done a lot of backward consideration during her retrograde. Now she is standing still. What is she doing when she's standing still and getting ready to move forward? She's probably reflecting. So one of my biggest things that I would say for this, especially since Venus does not actually look at the sun and the moon, if we click on her, we're not going to get the sun and the moon in a conversation with her like these other planets, because she is in a sign that is considered averse, just not in the blind spot for the sun and the moon at this time. So there's this idea of a lot of stuff has happened. Not all of it has been in my control or of my choice, but it's happened. And now I want to think about this. So you want to think about especially things in relationships, things that have helped you assess your values, things that have really shaped the way you see the world and your sense of justice and ethics. All of those things that have happened particularly since maybe March 1st of 2025 when Venus began her retrograde. And so since that time, the actionable noticeability of these things has become more prominent, especially, like I said, if Venus is active for you in your astrology right now. And so my recommendation, since Venus is now moving direct, all the planets are now moving direct, before we hit the ground running, we want to take some time to apply what we have learned, to really understand what our experience has taught us over this last month and a half or so. So think about what your relationships, what your values, what society has taught you, or what you've experienced and what it's made you question or think about or decide, or boundaries it has made you hold, and decide what boundaries you need moving forward. What are your standards now? What do you believe now? Put those into conscious statements. I believe this. I feel this way. I will not allow this in my life. And then you can turn that into I allow only the opposite of that in your life. For me, what I want people to really understand, because relationships may have been such a topic for them, is that you are you before anybody else, before anything else. So the affirmation that I have for this is I am me before anything else. I focus on who I am, what's important to me, what I love, what I won't tolerate, where my boundaries are. All of those things are important to know, to be grounded in, to discern before I go and interact with other people. One of the things we often hear about Libra is that she can be an energy that kind of gives in situations. Libra is the scale, but it's not the two things on the side of the scale. It's not the plates that hold the weights. It's the scale in the middle, the one that brings the balance. Libra stands balance, and often in a situation that is unbalanced, Libra will do what it takes, change their own energy to bring balance to a situation, which can sometimes put them out of alignment with their own personality and desires. So they'll often make compromises where they don't need to, or where they could say, hey, meet me halfway. Let's do this together rather than let me just compensate for the imbalance. So make sure that you understand who you are first, because if you have that, then you will be that straight position in the middle of the scales, and you will be able to see both sides and allow a strategy to come forward that shows where balance can be drawn up, rather than throwing yourself into one of the plates to bring balance for just that moment. It's going to get out of balance later because you're going to have to go to the other side eventually. So be the one in the middle. Know who you are. Know what you stand for. And calmly, when you see situations that seem out of balance, ask yourself what can bring balance rather than how can I be the balance in this situation. That's not your responsibility. You have this air sign that we're working with, right? This is more intellectual, more of the mind, higher perspectives. So it's about seeing the fuller picture and delegating or organizing within that space, not that you have to do it yourself. So I hope that that helps. Again, you can say affirmations in your mirror, write your affirmations and phrases down in places that you'll see them. My phone just went off, so hopefully that's a helpful one. And write the phrases that best embody your values, like we said. So another way you can do this to really sort this out, if you're like, I don't even know, go on a solo date with yourself. I know someone, Deanna Horton, I can't remember their name on social media, but if you look them up with that name, you'll probably find them. They do solo dates, and they also do like witchy videos about being in corporate America. It's very relatable. And I think it's a really good idea to go to their YouTube and go to their platforms and say, what solo dates can I find where I'm going out and just watching the full moon? You would do that in a relationship. You can do that with yourself as well. I take myself to brunch, and it's very meaningful to me. So find things that you can do, that you do with yourself, for yourself, so that you know yourself as an individual, so that when you get into the context of a relationship, you're bringing that forward, because that's what people deserve to see. That's what is going to draw the best version of people to you that you deserve to be surrounded by. So I hope that this feels a little bit more exciting now that we're out of eclipse season. All planets are going direct. We had a very stalled out energy in March. Now April is saying, okay, all that's done. We're just putting that to the side entirely. Move forward. Here's your momentum. All the planets are direct. The next planet to go retrograde is actually Pluto. So like the furthest planet out, not a very personal influence on our lives when it goes retrograde. So that's on May 4th. And then after that, it's still the outer planets. We don't have to worry about inner planet retrogrades until the next Mercury retrograde. So we have time. We have a couple months of just enjoying forward momentum and progress. And I hope that you find that this week as well. If you want to find progress every week, if you want magical suggestions and astrology and all of the things, you can always join the Modern School of Ancient Wisdom, where we are learning magic and astrology every week. And we have an excellent community that is so supportive and amazing. And you also get first info on when we're doing trips and when we're offering anything like sacred spaces. So feel free to join us there. You are most welcome for exactly who you are. And I hope you have a fantastic Libra full moon.